this is Vladimir here again with a Blender tutorial for beginners on how to start and use Blender. So if you are new to Blender, welcome, hello there people. So this is obviously going to be a Blender tutorial for beginners as I just mentioned, and this is going to be in Blender 2.5. If any of you've not heard of Blender 2.5 being out, which you should have if you obviously use Blender, but Blender 2.5 is obviously a new version of Blender 2.4. They have done a lot of things to the interface, as you can see, and they have definitely improved a lot of stuff with the modeling and definitely added more of a creation aspect to you being able to fiddle around with objects and models in Blender, and really a wide range of stuff you can choose from to make in Blender. So today, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a tutorial for beginners. So if you've just opened up Blender 2.5, you will start. This will be the default. As you can see, I re-downloaded the Blender and I've opened mine up as default. When you open up Blender 2.5, you will have three objects on the screen. You will have this light, so if you right click, you can select the light. You can obviously click the green arrow to move it about, and the red arrow to move it across. These are the X and Y axes. As you can see, they are color coded with green for the Y and red for the X for the red. If you right click here, you will have a camera. If you right click here, you have a camera. If you press G on the keyboard, you can move the camera about. There you go. I'm just pressing G to move, and I'm right clicking, which automatically places the object. So if you accidentally move something, you right click and it places the object back to where you started. Now if we go ahead and right click the cube and press G, we can go ahead and move the cube about. I'm going to go ahead and right click there. We'll send the cube back to the center position. Now I guess for the first part of this Blender tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and start using the views. If you click in the middle mouse button, which is the scroller, you'll be able to scroll your own and make your own custom little view. As you can see, I'm just scrolling around just to show you guys what we are doing. We're just hitting in the scroll and middle mouse button, and we're just moving the mouse. As you can see, have a little play around with that and get used to it. Now, I'm going to also be mentioning some of the shortcut keys you get in Blender. So, first of all, you will have a front view, which is 1. Now the 1 will be showing the z-axis, which is the blue line, and the x-axis which is the red line. As you've seen before, we'll press 7 and we'll go into the top view. This is the view you start off in Blender default settings. Now after you've done that, you can also press 3, which goes into a side view of the model, and I think we've covered all of the views. But also, if you press 1 to go into the first view, the front view, you'll see the camera is here. And you press 3, the camera moves. Now if you press 1 again, and hold down Control and press 1, the camera has moved across. But not just that, we have gone to the opposite side. So this is like the back view from the front. Now if you want to go to the bottom view, you press Control 7. Want to go to the right side of the left side of the view, you press Control 3. Now, as you can see, I am including the shortcuts in this Blender tutorial for you to get used to it, because it's kind of a feel. You want to be able to be quick when you're modeling. Obviously, if you're new to it, you won't be so quick, but getting these shortcuts in your head now and starting to learn them is very, very, very helpful when you come to modeling stuff like heads or other complicated things in Blender. Now, we're going to go ahead and use some of the features Blender has. If you press S on the keyboard, you will be able to size your cube up. Just moving the mouse to size the cube up anyway. Also, if you size the cube up and you go off the screen, you will notice on the left side of the screen my arrow is coming back. This is one of the features if you use Blender 2.5. Blender 2.4. Blender 2.5 has included this because a lot of people would decide to size something up and it would go off the screen and then you'd have to stop right there. Blender 2.5 has allowed you to continue this, going over and over to make the object bigger, smaller, or widen it on any range you would like to. Now if you press SZ, you will go across the Z-axis. This is very, very helpful indeed if you need to make something long on the X-axis and increasing it from the width, and obviously the others will have it too. So SX would increase it on the X-axis, and SY, which we can't see, which I apologize for. Just go ahead and click in the mouse button, drag it into a nice little custom view in the diagonal, and press SY, and we will scale it along this axis. Now just press Ctrl Z and get the cube up, because I want the default cube for when I'm showing some of the stuff in Blender. Now, as I showed some of the views, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly, because I forgot this one, which I apologize for. If you press 0, you will go into a camera view. Now this is the view you will have when you press F12. When you are using screenshots, or when you want to make a video or render an animation in Blender, this is where it all goes on. But today obviously we are doing the basics, so let's press 1 and go back into the front view. Next of all, I'm going to be showing you doing a bit in the interface. Now, when you're modeling in Blender, when you're modeling something that you need 2 screens for, you can just go up here and you click, when it says there's an arrow there, you click that across. And as you can see, we have made 2 screens. Now, this is for, obviously, if you want to see this side of the block and you want to move it about or have a little play around with it. As you can see, we moved it on the y-axis. But we obviously seen it on this one as well. As you can see, it is mirroring. But for now, we should go ahead, and if you want to get rid of screens like this, you click on the top X at the bottom, drag it across, you'll see a nice little shaded arrow. You unclick there, and you will have your screen back to normal as 1. If you go ahead and press N, you will open up another menu. This allows you to move the object from here on the scale, Control Z to go back. You can also have rotation, Control Z to go back, and you can also have scale. This is easy to edit if you want it to be a certain size. Some tutorials you follow that aren't videos, that are write-ups, then they will say, you know, have X at 2.7, blah blah blah, and then you can obviously use this to make sure you get the right sizes for the tutorial. You can also add background images. Or you have to, I'm not going to do a rough, actually yes, I'll go ahead and do a rough one, because if you want to follow something from the background, I guess this would be useful. So importing the background image, you click on this little dot here, you click the arrow, you scroll down again, you will add image, you scroll down again, which I know will be annoying, but once you got the image in, you won't have to worry about it after all. You click on this little arrow that says not set, you then scroll down again, you go open, and you look for a picture. I'm going to go ahead and I'll open up this picture for now. So as you can see, we have a shotgun image. If you are new to, so when you want to model, you could just go ahead and start modeling that. But we're going to go ahead and get rid of that picture because we don't need that. Anyway, just go untick that. Right. Now, Now, Blender also has an edit mode. First of all, I'm just going to press N to get rid of that, and press T to get rid of that. As you can see, we have ourselves a nice full square. I'm just going to drag that ruler down because I'm not a fan of that. I don't choose it. Now, if we press Tab, we will go into an edit mode. Edit mode in Blender allows you to change the object, deform it in any way you would like to. Right clicking this little dot here will let you drag it around and pretty much place it wherever you want. This is how you model stuff in Blender or get the right shape. For instance, if you had a background image and you needed to make a rectangle, you can press Shift to right click 4 vertice points and drag that up. You could also do those 2 there, or if you really wanted to just select 2, you can go down to here where it says lines, and you can select this and drag lines about. You can also do faces. If you click this one right down here, this will bring up a selected dot in the middle of each face. By right clicking on that dot, you will drag the complete face of that edge of the cube over. Blender's edit mode has a lot of techniques that you can use and are very handy. I'm just going to go ahead and go back into the vertice mode so we can just select our dots. Now if we go ahead and extrude by pressing 1 to go in the first view, press E to extrude. Now if you get those lines that come up vertically, I'm just going to Control Z. This means you are available on all axes. Usually when I'm going up, I right click, the vertex is still there, and I drag up the arrow. This is because I wanted to go straight on a certain axis. Now if you go ahead and do the same on the opposite side of the cube, and then right click. If you want to, you can just go around, like if you want to move the cube around or just play around with it, then that's fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and press shift to right click, right click 4 vertices, and I'm going to press F. This makes a face in Blender. Now when you're modeling in Blender, it's very useful to repair faces. If you're extruding on little lines and you want the object to still be parallel, then you can just click 2 vertices and F. You can also click 3 vertices and press F, and you can keep doing this to make faces. Now you can also extrude, which if I didn't mention, I'll mention it again, by clicking 4 vertices, 2 vertices, or 1 vertice, any amount of vertices you want, pressing E, and you will extrude up the model. As you can see, it has made the little gap inside, and the extrusion has made the model bigger. There is also, so I think I've covered everything for the beginner. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of these here because we don't really need them. Extrude up like this, and then just repair the faces. As you can see, that's a bit wonky because I couldn't measure that right, but it's okay. Now I have covered most of the basics in Blender. I hope you guys can go away and model something or something that is your standard, bearing in mind you have just learned Blender, so I do not you should not expect yourself to be amazing at it. I wasn't exactly the best when I first started. Just remember to follow the images when you are obviously modeling. Make sure you are using these vertice points to grab each other's views. Another tip in Blender is this box down here. As you can see, if it's ticked in, you cannot see the vertices in the background. If it is unticked, you can see the vertices in the background. Now, when I am using Blender, I always have this button ticked. And the reason I have this button ticked is because when I want to move objects that's in the 3D version, I press B, I left click over the certain vertices I want highlighted. This will highlight the ones exactly behind it if it's a line and you can't reach it on a certain view. Press 1 to go back into the front view, and you can move it about knowing that the vertice behind it has moved. Now, if you are fed up with having to tick that same box when it only opens it up in edit mode. If you are fed up having to tick that same box over and over again when you come into edit mode, make sure you have the same settings. Press edit mode to go in tab, tick the box, so as you can see, the box is ticked there because you'll be able to see the vertice points behind a certain face, and then come out of edit mode. Make sure you have your settings before, press Ctrl U, and you can save your user settings to how you like and what you like in Blender. I've seen some people who like to just delete the cube and save their settings, so when they come into Blender they just have a full-on plain setting and they do whatever they want. I am still new to Blender and I'm not used to that, so I like to have the cube there because sometimes if I'm modeling something, I always start off with the cube, size it down into a rectangle, square, whatever, or however I'd start, and then do it from there. But other than that, this has been Vladimir with Blender Tutorial for Beginners. If there's anything that you found difficult to learn or do, or you want some help, then please message me and I will be happy to help. I would be happy to answer any questions. I hope you enjoyed.